Welcome to the quarterfinals of the Hearthstone Tournament. Descent of Dragons on the American server. We have Crowncooker versus Tesv1357. This game was recorded by yours truly, Pimp Carp, the current reigning Trash Bowl champion, who somewhat surprisingly lost his first round match and has volunteered to help out behind the scenes a little bit, so thank you for that. JJ, when we start the recording really quickly, what's the lineups for those two players here?
Well, Crowncooker is bringing a Galakrond Aggro Warrior, an OTK Paladin, a Galakrond Rogue, and his Rest Priest was banned. TSV is bringing a Highlander Mage, Highlander Hunter, Galakrond Control Warlock, and his Token Druid was banned.
So we're seeing pretty old school, pretty popular bans once again with the Resurrection Priest, Token Druid. We haven't seen those decks a lot in this tournament. That's usually because they're the prime targets for bans. Got Crowncooker on the top, Tesv1357, whom shall be referred to as just TESV in the future on the bottom. I'm gonna keep Ziliax in the hand here. Find that interesting.
I don't necessarily even agree with the Druid ban, because a lot of times the Druid is the deck that's banned in the full aggro lineups, but that's not what this is. I would have probably, if I'm Crowncooker, or maybe ban something like the Hunter or maybe even the Warlock over the Druid.
I think Crowncooker feels like, because of the very consistent pressure that the Druid will bring, it'll provide some big problems for decks like your Paladin, which you would much rather play that Paladin against something like the Mage or the Warlock. So I think that's what he went with there, with the biggest mismatches.
The Paladin. It's actually, by the way, very interesting. Crowncooker, one of the players that brought one of the most balanced lineups of the entire tournament. Most other people brought very heavy aggro lineups. Some people brought, in anticipation of that, heavy control lineups, and this is just
very balanced.
Combo,
he's going to be
control,
very
aggro.
versatile with a lot of options against every lineup, but his ban game has to be on point. And when you have something like the Paladin, your ban game especially has to be on point to make it work. But Crowncooker is confident in his ability to make that happen. Right now, has a choice to use Hero Power or play Awaken. Looks like it's going to be Awaken there.
He could have also Taskmaster, but that seems very wasteful, especially against the Secret.
Could have played it on the bot there.
I mean, the Secret is a snake.
You don't know what it is.
We know it's a snake trap, of course, but
he doesn't know. He knows it's not explosive after testing it.
I was about to say he should know that it's not explosive, but
just the bow here, I would imagine. You could think about Zephyrus, but there's no need for it, I think.
Bow can take out the Rover. You have a turn 4 play. If need be, you could even coin Ziliax on 4, but you're probably just gonna play Sandbinder to find your CO mod.
Exactly.
So
get the big one on there. Gonna play the bow, play clean up there. He has potential healing always in hand with Zephyrus later on.
Yeah, that's true. It's when you're playing aggro, as Crowncooker is here, it's always annoying when that Zephyrus comes out with a healing touch, and it's like, great. Yep. Because 8 points of damage can be a big difference when you're playing aggro.
This warrior is an aggressive Galakrond warrior, so I would almost imagine that Maniac is the play here.
Yeah, Berserker and Taskmaster is a little awkward to play this turn, because usually you want to Taskmaster your Berserker when it can attack, and playing Berserker, Hero Power seems a little too passive almost.
Last turn he played Awaken, I would have liked him to stay with the early Invokes here and then play Galakrond on tempo and quickly.
That's a good point. He can still get 2 more Invokes either way, although with only 1 Invoke so far, of course, whether it's 2 or 3 doesn't make a difference.
We'll just play this Taskmaster. There's a Snip Snap drawn. We might see Multi-Shot. We might also see Sandbinder.
That's Mark Shot, of course, that you're talking about. And that would be a very good choice to deal with the Temple Berserker. You don't want to hit your face in there. You also don't want to take a hit to the face with that. So Mark Shot
definitely some choices here, though.
Ziliax also strong choice, of course. Healing you in the process. Yeah. I would have liked Mark Shot, because then you could still play Ziliax later. It's not very pressing right now. And
pro tip for Pimp Carp, if you're watching, thank you very much for doing this. Deactivate Discord,
or use a game capture rather than a screen capture, which doesn't capture the overlay.
Correct. Pro tips from yours truly. We've all made those mistakes before, so we know. For next time. Besides to take the Zilix out with the face here, I think it makes sense. I like the Maniac. It's gonna get the invocations in.
Yes, but speaking of invocations, Awaken is very awkward right now with all the 1 health.
Yeah, you can't play that. I don't think.
So
might just be Sandbinder 2 trades. You could obviously play your Misha, but I think Sandbinder is more reliable. Go Zephyrus. Huh?
Normally you predict Huffer on these.
Yeah, I know, but in this case, it's basically you always predict best case. Zephyrus is gonna find him Arcane Explosion. Maybe clear this up.
Yes.
Fan of Knives is also
actually
fun. Yeah.
Which is arguably better.
Because you draw that card. You don't need necessarily the mana. So.
I was about to say you're not going to do anything with the 1 mana, but you are going to do something with that draw.
That was a good use of Zephyrus.
Yeah, and again, knowing that there isn't a lot of impact plays in the aggro deck, so you know that you can afford to use Zephyrus to clear a relatively small board, because, I mean, yes, Galakrond produces some big threats where you might want, like, an Assassinate, a Silence even. Yeah. But I think this is very strong use.
I think he'll clear the board himself there. Maybe use the Inner Rage on Zephyrus. Or the face. Just hero power and set up your Galakrond.
I actually like the face here because the situation is that if you're taking 3 more points of damage, it's not going to matter as much against control. Yeah. Like when they have you, they have you.
They do.
It doesn't matter if they're not going to have like exact lethals usually.
So you might keep it for burst damage later.
I was about to say
TSV just developing with the value with the sniff.
The 2 damage coming from the Inner Rage. Now that might matter.
And that's a big draw there too.
Yes,
that's gonna max out your Galakrond. And
if we want to push damage, you can now go Corcron plus Inner Rage.
You could.
If you really want.
If you wanted to put it all in the face, you could, and then follow up with Galakrond.
I mean, you are probably going to play Galakrond next turn anyways, so
yeah,
I think you can afford to. You could deal 10 to the face right now. You get 5 out of the Galakrond's Claw.
It's not going to put Inner Rage on, it's going to keep that for now.
And then, nonetheless, you do have the 5 from the Claw, and potentially you draw something that you can play, although it's unlikely.
See how TSV decides to deal with this here.
I don't hate Unleash.
How about the Bran with counter pressure?
I like Bran.
Because Bran, if you play Galakrond, you're definitely gambling.
Yes. And I was about to say, just trade and play Bran. It seems very solid.
You could even have hit your face in. 1 more to the face.
Yeah.
But as I said, 1 more damage to the face yourself.
The couple of extra face damage matter more for the aggro deck, so taking the more conservative trade, I think, makes sense.
If you play Bran, then you're putting him on a clock.
Yeah, but again, those are like 8 damage intervals. Like, the couple extra points here and there don't matter nearly as much. Yes, 2 points makes a difference between 1 turn and 2 turns, but you still have the weapon. You still have some small minions here and there. And down comes Galakrond with the 5 armor. Usually not very relevant, but in this case it is. And Bloodsworn Mercenary is very good with the Inner Rage. And can still put some stats on this turn as well. The question now, of course, is do you trade into the Bran or do you hit into the face, building your own pressure up? I guess it would have to be face, right? Because
probably, but
because if you die this turn, it doesn't matter if he hit with the Bran or if you hit the Bran.
Seems like he's going face.
Yeah, because again, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
Animal Companion,
if you don't win next turn, you don't win.
That's a win. Animal Companion is a 2 and 3 chance of lethal, but Unleash the Hounds should be winning.
Unleash the Hounds produces 1 damage.
Kill command and bow.
Kill command bow is 8, so we have 9,
He's got
10,
14,
11,
17,
12,
yeah.
13.
He's seen it.
Fair enough, but
he's found it. TSV, wow. Or even the hero power. That also works.
But again, like this is like what was the warrior supposed to do, right? The trade wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have made a difference. And it's just you have to see who can push it first.
Yeah, he played it really well. Crowncooker, if you remember, had that 1 turn where he only got to trade the board off and play nothing really, and then TSV started developing with both the sniff snaps. And from that time on, he had the upper hand, so to speak. So
yeah,
1-0 lead for TSV. Strong showing so far. He's gonna have to switch decks. Crowncooker has the opportunity to queue that warrior again, and TSV has only 2 more choices:
Highlander Mage and Galakrond Control Warlock.
Yes, and we'll see what he decides to go with here.
So maybe both strong control decks, meaning that OTK Paladin seems like the strongest choice here, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree. Crowncooker decides to go warrior again. Gonna face the Warlock here, and maybe
I want to say out of the lineup that's left, the Hunter might have been your best matchup for the Warrior.
It might have, yeah. The Warlock doesn't necessarily have the counter push opportunity as the Warrior does with cards like Bram, Unleash, and Kill Command.
But I would argue it has stronger control potential.
Yeah.
And most of the time with aggro decks, you lose because your opponent out-controls you, not because they out-aggro you, especially if they're not playing another aggro deck.
Yeah, I think, though, I should say this, I think the description of aggro warrior isn't quite correct. I think we should call it tempo warrior, because you get those burst turns after you play the Galakron, and if you get 2 more time, which Crowncooker you saw was about to do in the first match, or didn't get done in the first match, you get those big minions drawn, sometimes with charge minions off of your Galakron that are +4/+4.
That is true, but we've seen the aggro warrior archetype have much success before Galakron came around.
Yes.
And that's just kind of one possible finisher that's added to the deck. And it's a strong one, don't get me wrong.
It's a strong one. See what he decides to do here?
I personally like both the Chopper and maybe even the Taskmaster.
Got the Chopper, get the Invokes.
I noticed that, generally speaking, most players tend to be relatively conservative with their uses of Inner Rage and Taskmaster. I'm personally always a fan of just developing the board, using those, especially for Taskmaster because it has its own body. But doesn't seem to be where it's going for right now. And TSV with really nothing to do but maybe tap.
Yeah, the way that you beat a Warlock, by the way, or disarm the Warlock, is by dealing a lot of damage to him early. Kind of limiting their opportunities to really use that hero power a lot.
But that's another reason why I like the Taskmaster as a play here, because over 2 turns it's going to deal just as much as the weapon.
Yeah, seems like he's
Actually,
gonna...
over 2 turns it's going to deal 1 point more than the weapon already.
Seems like he's going to go Berserker.
Now you definitely like the Taskmaster, of course, because that's going to keep growing your Berserker. There's also a reasonable counter drawn as well.
I would assume he's going to clear this up, though. Play Dark Skies and clear it up. Seems like what he's going to go for.
Oh god, that's going to take forever.
Because of all the Berserker procs.
Berserker and Rover procs, it's... Blizzard, please change this.
This needs to be sped up. That's I would agree. Like they did in Battlegrounds and regularly with the mass poison animations. That was much better. Just deal all the damage quicker, you know. But there we go. Good board clear off TSV. Crowncooker now choice. Could play Quarterfinal Elite, get them down to maybe some more health, or he could start invoking again.
I mean, Korkron deals 4 points of damage, and then, of course, the counterplay to that is the Maniac plus Coil.
Yeah.
Which is very solid.
We'll see that.
But the only other play you could have really made is your own Maniac, which is less impactful at the moment there.
Does have Galakron on the hand, though, does Crowncooker. So you want to play that as soon as possible.
Yes, and now he can play it very well, because then it's going to take out an Imp. Which isn't really that impactful, but at least the Maniac has some immediate impact, and you still have 4 in the face. So I like it here.
I think that's what it's gonna be.
Just because dealing with your opponent's minions, even as the aggro deck, is somewhat important, because those minions will later be a threat to your bigger minions, especially because you have a lot of low health, high attack minions.
Might he coin this Galakron even next turn? It's not fully maxed out.
No, it's not. Depends a little bit on the situation, I think, because you can probably get away with something like Korkron and then either one of your 2-drops. He does, as we were just shown, of course, it's only 2 invokes to trigger. Ooh.
That's a big one. He could play that right now, along with a Berserker, maybe.
Yeah, that in terms of Berserker, I think definitely more impactful.
But coining that Galakron is tempting, because you know that the higher you get in the mana cost, the more likely your opponent will have recovery options like both these Alexstrasza's in Reach. And he's gonna go with that. He did the math thinking, if I waste too much time, then...
What I like, however, about playing the Galakron a little more conservatively is, for Warrior in particular, or general for aggro decks in particular, is not even the increased effect, but just the claw.
The weapon, yeah. But it seemed like he thought he didn't have the time to do it, which I think I agree with, actually, here.
I mean, like, we've seen him, even with the 2 draws, still no more Invokes drawn, so...
But he got the Sign of Ruin, which is going to be massive.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it was bad draws, I'm just saying that we can see that his deck wasn't necessarily going to give him the Invokes anytime soon.
Exactly.
Speaking of Invokes, I like Finish Rites.
Both very possibly, or build your counterplay up.
I mean, the more board you have as a control deck, the harder it is for the aggro deck to push over more than one turn.
The TrashcanTV Hearthstone Tournament is sponsored by Beverage. Puts on the
big pickup, the Twisting Nether.
Yes.
Would have drawn
important. I want to argue Zilliax just as massive. All of those cards are very good.
But especially after the Galakron turn, you get all the big minions potentially coming down.
And you got removal.
And then you just clear the board right away. Of course, Plague of Flames could have done it right now, but it depends on the trades it's going to take.
I think at this moment you have the option to just clear most of the stuff up with your board.
Yeah, but like the big Sign of Ruin is going to come down, presumably. So that is going to take some trades, and there's another Maniac drawn. That's a very good use of the Taskmaster. Yeah. I feel like it always feels a little wasteful to not get the extra damage out of it from like the extra face damage, but it's very solid in this case especially. And
yeah, there's the big Scion.
And again, this board just like either you play
you can go Phoenix
Rites and Plague, or you go Twisting Nether. Mm-hmm. The end result is very similar. Well, the end result is an empty board.
Which is what you need. And then you'll set yourself up for Alexstrasza all the way. You could go Zilliax and kill one and then Twisting Nether. And then Plague of Flames. I think he's thinking Twisting Nether. Got sack back for heal and...
I mean, if you play both board clears... Oh, no, wait, no, the other one wouldn't have worked because of the sack. Yeah, so fair enough. He decided the extra healing was worth it more than having a little bit of extra mana somewhere.
And then big dragons are coming up.
Yeah.
Prime position, I would argue, for TSV. And Crowncooker needs to fight damage fast.
So I see, if you want to go for burst, I can see Korkron Inner Rage Bloodsworn Mercenary. That is 12 points of damage. But then what? Decides to, if I saw correctly, Hero Power and Evoke, dealing 6 points of damage. Mm-hmm. Knowing that next turn he has lethal.
Yeah.
Between the combo I just said and then Hero Power.
Though there's Nether Breath and Zilliax on hand.
I mean, I was just saying, like, obviously the control deck will have something. I think
it'll be tough for Crowncooker here to get back to this. Because he's running out of the resources he needs. So that's a good play. And he's going to keep healing up. And I like the situation that he's in. He might even just life tap after this.
But let's see, right? We have the what did I say? I said 12
as Awaken.
15 points of damage from face against 23 health. That brings him down to 8. If you were to go for that, obviously he's not gonna do that right now, but does establish a board, which of course will at any given point really die to like an Evoke trigger plus Plague of Flames and maybe a minion somewhere.
Yeah. Or the Netherwing, which you have at any time.
Or the Netherwing. Netherwing has the disadvantage, of course, of also damaging your own face, but I don't think it's too worrying when you're so far ahead of where the aggro deck wants you to be right now, and you also have the Alexstrasza on hand for later.
Godfrey's a good pickup.
Do you play it right here, though?
It seems almost wasteful. Why not play the Netherwing?
That's what I was thinking. But on the other hand...
Good Dark Skies, too.
Very conservative with the clears, but also your opponent's burst turns have already kind of run out almost.
Yeah, there's still one. Or there's always some. You
Actually,
have to think
wait a second. Oh yeah, there's Nether Breath. If that Nether Breath does not go face... he loses, just as a side note.
Except his Galakron?
Because there is 12 on hand plus Hero Power is 15.
Is the Korkron upgraded?
No. It's Korkron, Inner Rage, Bloodsworn, and Hero Power.
He's played it. Good foresight. Second Inner Rage!
And that's
perfect!
Is...
Oh! That's 4 more. That's crazy. I mean, that is... Wow, that's a hell of a turn for
That is 19 points of damage with an exact lethal. It's not just an exact lethal.
That was a hell of a
it also uses all of his cards and almost all of his mana.
Yeah, wow. Great play.
It couldn't be much more exact.
Great play from Crowncooker. We're tied up at 1 with a miraculous Hail Mary save there. Did not see that coming anyway. So great play from Crowncooker. We're tied up at 1.
Yeah, you feel so safe at 19 hit points. It's like, nope.
And now the game's wide. The match is wide open again. Everyone has a shot to win it. Now the warrior test has been overcome by Crowncooker. Now he has a paladin and the rogue to play with. The paladin is a volatile but strong deck when played in the right circumstance. So you think that the worst matchup for it is already out with the hunter? So you like it most against mage and warlock. What do you like it more against, though, is the question.
I mean, generally, it plays well against control decks because they are not pressuring you as much. The thing is, the Galakrond control warlock can be kind of played like the Galakrond Zoo warlock when you know that you are the more aggressive deck.
He's bringing the paladin, which I love to see. I love this deck. It's amazing. I love every time he plays it.
So what I was trying to say is that I like the mage matchup better for the paladin. Same. But yeah, and we'll see how. Also, very interesting now to see how TSV will play this matchup, because if he's smart, and I would assume he is based on what we've seen so far, then he's gonna try playing this almost like he's playing the Zoo variety.
Yeah, you can't hold your stuff forever.
It's more about pushing the damage and killing the face than controlling the board.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be overwhelmed on the board, likely.
No.
And of course, your deck isn't exactly built to push the damage, but
it definitely has pieces that can do it.
Because I think I pointed this out before. Both Galakrond Warlock varieties are relatively similar because of all the invoke cards, and because of a couple of just generally strong cards. I would say probably tap. You could coin the Dragon Blight.
You could Nether Breath to just deal damage.
Yeah, the Nether Breath I think is one of those cards you probably hold back for a while, generally speaking. Also, Christ Netherwing, by the way, is kind of, there were varieties of Zoolock in the past that ran.
It's not even healing, he's just taking it for the draw. With the Shrivala already on hand, Crowncooker's goal in this match is very clear.
Dragonblight Cultist not coming down. It's always a little awkward when your opponent has that 1/1 on the board and you just know that the Cultist is gonna die, but you know, you gotta do it.
Gonna go Prismatic Lens, just draw more cards, picks up a 2-1, that's fine. Not a huge issue there. 1 mana Novice Engineer is good value.
Well, yeah, the 2-mana Crystology is
also good
kind
value.
Of but yeah.
It's old Crystology. It's not bad. Phoenix Rights, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would think so.
You could play the Shield and try Phoenix Rights after. Shield defends well against the True Silver Champion.
And makes the Phoenix Rights stronger, of course, because there's more minions to be buffed. So I actually like the play.
Yeah, no Wild Pyro on hand for Crowncooker so far. But he does have both Holy Wraths.
Speaking on things on hand, though, TSV having the Galakrond on hand, of course, which is one of the more important plays there.
Consecration, that's massive. You might play it right now.
It doesn't kill the shield, of course.
It doesn't kill the shield.
Sees what he can get first.
Monsters in your first is very disciplined play. And yeah.
I was gonna say, like, that's where the 1-mana Novice Engineer comes into play, of course.
Big.
Because the 2-mana couldn't have done it this turn. And I guess we're gonna see the Mania come down now. Seems more impactful right now than the Phoenix Rights, and you can still play it next turn. For more impact, maybe.
Yeah, for Crowncooker, your main objective is to keep the minion count as low as possible on your opponent's side.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Crowncooker, you're playing control.
Wild Pyro picked up.
That's a funny thing, right? The combo deck right now is trying to play control, while the control deck is trying to play aggro.
Yeah.
Until the combo deck does the combo thing, of course.
That's how it goes. He picks up the Wild Pyro, which is massive. You can play that right now. Play maybe with Crystology. Pimcarp is signifying so as a spectator. That's his way of providing commentary.
Maybe we should get him at some point to provide actual commentary.
We will get him at some point. I hope to provide actual commentary. Not taking away too much, but we are in talks. We are in arrangement talks. He's gonna do the Troy Aikman thing. Not that he's retired or anything, but he's good. Maybe the Worshipper time now. Reload, huh? Phoenix Rites seem to be picked up.
The thing is, if you play Phoenix Rites, do you really play Nether Breath next? Because if not, you tap first. Because there's, by the way, like, there should be no situation where you leave those 2 mana open. So...
yeah, I agree. There's no reason not to tap or play a card.
And again, if you play the card, technically, you would be better off tapping first.
Unless you know that nothing else you want to play.
I was about to say, I don't think there's necessarily a better 4 mana play there, but I still like doing it first just for a good habit as well. And sometimes there's a thing that you don't consider that actually makes sense. Maybe even like a 2-card play somewhere. It's always...
We know these players know their deck inside out. Of course, no deck trackers are allowed in this whole tournament. But we know that they've been practicing and they know what they're doing there. So while Pyro right now seems like good value, Thalnos on top. And Crystology getting himself all the draw off that Pyro.
I was about to say, decides to use the
Crystal Smith Kangor is a huge find too.
Yeah, that's a lot of healing.
That is massive. There's a Ziliax. Could play his Galakron, which is
fully upgrade Galakron, hit the claw into the face. Remind me, are there any charge demons in the current rotation?
No, since Doomguard went out.
I thought so, but still.
Yeah.
Like, now this is something to deal with as well.
Charge has effectively rotated out of the game.
Now, the question is, right?
I think you just equality get rid of this stuff
I was about to say, he should have definitely killed the Pyro, right?
Likely, yeah.
Because you know that equality is in the deck.
I think you do wanna kill that Pyro.
So I think that was a bit of a misplay here.
They could use a timeout, but why not just remove this when you can, and you have the time to do so right now.
Yeah, and again, so that is why in those situations the Pyro is a threat even to the bigger boards, and maybe you should have taken that out.
You can have to still play Kangor and hit face for 4 health and 4 damage on his own.
Yeah, and this is where you basically you push the 5 damage now, and in turn sacrificed the 16 damage next turn.
Yeah. Debatable.
My math skills tell me that was not great.
Obviously more to that than that black and white, but yeah, in this case it turns out that it gets punished with that equality. Clears his board up and is going to try to establish himself as good as possible. Going to play the Kangor as expected, and another draw. And his deck is slowly emptying out. Picks up a Baleful Banker, important combo piece, obviously. Doubled healing for him there.
The equality is to be considered, especially in a deck that draws so much. You kind of assume that your opponent has everything, right? I don't know. Veiled Worshipper might still be a decent play.
Yeah, you want to drop 1 card first so you don't overdraw. Maybe now it's Phoenix Rites. Obviously, he's definitely considering some kind of. He's thinking for sure. He's got 8 on the Phoenix Rites, 13 with the Claw, but there's not enough support for him just yet. Because there's nothing on board, and that Kangor is obviously unfortunate. It's gonna go Plague of Flames. I like to play. I like this a lot.
Going back to the control roots of the actual deck.
I like this a lot because you're setting yourself up for lethal next turn by removing the Kangor, which is massive.
You remove the Kangor without hitting it, which means your opponent doesn't heal more.
Exactly.
Hits the Claw in this turn, not a huge difference whether he does it now or later. Except that... It's not really. So yeah, no real
And Crowncooker, you might have to take a timeout.
I mean, if you look at the board here...
Or clear this up.
Well, yeah, subdue the shield, and you have the board cleared off as well. However, not to forget that there is 8 points of face damage on TSV's hand, 11 if he draws a dragon.
Plague of Flames. Gotta go Worshipper. Yeah, he needs to find these pieces. He needs to find the damage.
Ooh.
Zephyrs could be an important piece.
Not active yet.
Not active, but if he's gonna, when it's active, he's gonna win the game.
Yes. Also, still no dragon on hand, by the way, for the Netherwing, just as a side note.
But you don't need the Netherwing when you have the Zephyrs.
I'm saying you might eventually need it for lethal.
Yeah, but no, but if you can play the two breaths and the Zephyrs, you still win.
That is if you can play the Zephyrs with the battle cry.
Yeah.
Which right now is not a given.
Not at the moment. Seems Goziliak's there. He's got to get rid of this wild pyro. He's
finally deals with a pyro in his...
Learned his lesson there. I like the idea. Picks up second timeout, and it's sort of a question like, when is he gonna take the first one, and when is he even gonna play Shrivala? Because you have the
6 cards left in deck, right? So you might as well start taking a timeout now.
You might play your Shrivala and Bankert back. Why not?
That too.
Consec picked up is massive, but that Shrivala seems sort of good.
But I mean, with the Acolyte as well, you're going down to 4 cards in deck. You can draw this in one turn, so you can take 2 consecutive timeouts now, and basically almost guarantee the win.
You could, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if there's any draw that I'm not considering right now, but or any missing, because he doesn't have draw in hand right now. But I would assume that.
How many cards are in his deck now? Is it 3?
It should be 4 now.
Should be 4 now.
Which is 1 draw next turn, and then like I don't know what's exactly still in his deck, but I would assume that most of those are still draw cards.
Some of them might be.
And then you have 1 turn to draw your deck. There should
be a second banker.
And 1 turn to pull off the... There are 2 on hand? No.
There's 1 banker.
There's 1 on hand. What is that next to the banker anyways?
That might... I don't know. Oh, that's Sathawar, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
Takes a timeout and Shrivala...
Now that I can see the picture, yeah.
Shrivala is now free. Which is important. Alex Straza... No possibility to push this damage with the timeout, and TSV might not get a chance anymore to push damage in this game.
That's what I was saying, right? Because with all the draw in the deck, you can now just take 1 turn to draw, 1 turn to win.
All that remains for him to do is really build this board up, but is that going to be enough? We don't know. Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, now you can, in theory, pact and then finish rights if you want to be really fancy about it. Because you get the same amount of...
Because at worst, you always have Consecration Shrivala Banker. Yeah, he's hovering over already. He's Pimcarp there. He sets himself up for a perfect Consecration dude does TSV. And there's a Zephyrus on top for good measure.
Which was probably the only card in his deck that doesn't draw.
Yeah.
So...
I wonder if Zephyrus in this situation would find the lethal that's a draw card that allows the Shrivala thing. Probably not.
No. There is dumber situations where Zephyrus doesn't find lethal.
Yeah.
And this is like very deck specific. Because I don't think he has that many data points where it's like... Because you'd have to see the Shrivala banker...
Yeah.
No. And you'd have to know that all of the rest of the cards in the deck are draw as well. Yeah. Actually, no, he would find it. Lay on hands.
Maybe.
That's almost always offered as a heal at 10 mana when you're at low health.
But then you can't play the whole Shrivala thing in the same turn.
Well, no. Oh, and you can afford to take a timeout. I was about to say, like, it would be fine if you could Zephyrus timeout. And...
So Consecration Shrivala Banker looks like a play. He's trying to find something forcing. And yeah, that's the play he's going to make. As was expected, Shrivala obviously first, so he corrected me there because you want to have a target for your heal. Good job from Crowncooker. And what's the maximum damage he can push here now is with your TSV. You have 8 off of the Dragon of the Breaths, and you're not going to produce 11 off your Zephyrus, even if it were active.
You have 11 with the Crazed Netherwing, of course, but that's still not enough.
Not enough.
We're going to see the Dragon Wing come down, and then probably just clear off the Shrivala in some way, which isn't exactly what you're looking to do, but...
Shrivala definitely needs to go. That's correct.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out how to... You could Coil and Godfrey. I was about to say in an order of your choosing, in which case you take the draw, of course. Yeah. That's actually pretty good. I mean, it doesn't win the game.
It doesn't win the game. Because there is what?
Yeah, and then Hero Power. And if I saw correctly, even after the draw, it was still a dupe in.
There's 4 more cards remaining. Now with 3 more cards in Crowncooker's deck.
Crystology draws 2 of them.
There's no Crystology. Prismatic Lens.
Prismatic Lens, sorry.
Prismatic Lens does?
Who He just goes for it.
He just goes for it. And he finds his Ravala! That's crazy. He went for it with the idea of still having timeout in mind. So Crowncooker... He was like,
either I win this now or I do it later.
You just take it, exactly. Crowncooker takes it 2-1 lead. He's climbing back after going down 1. Now it's a 2-1 lead and got his paladin out of the way. Always a joy to watch him play that deck. And only his rogue remaining.
Yeah, and now the question is, if you're TSV, do you rather face the rogue with your mage first or with your control warlock first?
You've already lost 2 with the warlock, so are you still that confident in it? We'll see what he decides to do.
The answer appears to be yes.
Again, everyone flexing with their hero portraits. Warlock once again.
Honestly, I think that the Captain Valera is a bigger flex than the Jiraxis.
I don't know, they're both pretty cool.
Yeah, but
I like
but the Valera is saying I have 1,000 wins with Rogue. Yeah. The Jiraxis is saying I have too much money. So you know.
What would you rather have? Like a whole lot of money or play video games an exorbitant amount?
I mean, I would rather have the money, but
bigger flex.
But in terms of a Hearthstone tournament, I would argue that showing off your skill is more relevant than showing off your. As a matter of fact, we can see that
he's trying to take it very low key, but in style. Is TSV.
That the warlock for TSV is not even golden.
No, it's not golden. Because he's too busy out there making money to get this Jiraxis in. He's living life.
I mean, to be fair, I don't have any golden heroes either. I'm not saying that that's like makes him a bad player. I'm just saying that comparing the swagger of the heroes.
Yeah. Crowncooker definitely out there saying I'm the grassroots Hearthstone player here, man. I put this time in every single expansion for a reason, and I'm gonna show this rich boy is what he's thinking probably. Don't take me by that word, but he might be thinking that. And that rogue is the last piece that he needs to this puzzle to complete this game and move on for the second time in a row, by the way, to the Trash Bowl American Conference semifinals.
That's of course assuming that he does win this, which at this point he's the favorite, of course, just by the number of matches that he has to win versus TSV, because TSV has to win 2 matches.
Yeah, he's trying to go full circle here. Do you remember who he lost to in the last American Conference semifinals?
I mean, I really have a 50-50 shot here, don't I? Because I don't remember, because my memory is bad.
I absolutely remember. It was Pimcarp.
I was about to say it's probably Pimcarp.
Pimcarp mentioned his match against Crowncooker to be the best of the entire tournament when we interviewed him after his American Conference Championship game. And it was a great game. It was a 3-2 win, if I remember correctly, against Pimcarp. Pimcarp happens to be the one who recording Crowncooker's game here.
Getting himself an exclusive early look at the matchup.
So Crowncooker definitely saying, listen, I'm the supreme American player in this competition. I'm going to prove it by doing this every single time. But he has to win this game. He has to victimize this Warlock one more time. TSV is not trying to have it, obviously.
And that is not necessarily the lackey you want at that spot. The Titanic lackey not really doing much without an existing board.
Not gonna play it at all. Shield of Galakrond is a good draw. And,
I mean, first of all,
we're gonna see.
You're likely gonna keep it till there is something to buff, and second of all, you want to also probably keep a lackey for your Baron. Yeah. High Spirit Talk, whatever it is, who he has on hand. So I was about to say
shield on shield there.
Probably just gonna see the shield. Yeah, why not? Draconic lackey.
It's not bad. He has the Galakrond on the hand.
Draconic and Ethereal are definitely arguably the most varied ones. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, Witchy and Faith are also very unpredictable, but
value oriented for sure. Yeah.
But I feel like those still have more of an expected outcome.
Devoted Maniac has an opportunity to take this taunt out if he wants to.
Yes. He could also. Oh, I mean, no, actually, it would be perfect because he could
play both coils.
I was about to say play at least one coil, but
start cycling, you know. Yeah, that's what seems what he's gonna do. Yep. There's one, and he's getting on his bicycle and just rotating cards. There we go. Playing into the face, 4 minions put down and draw some big time stuff. He set up for some late game push. We got Kronks on the hand, obviously to find his Galakrond or Unleash Devastation, and both Alex draws us. And there's only one thing in the world
that's... on both hands.
Yeah, there's only one thing better in the world than one Alex. Two Alex. I thought you were gonna... you probably thought I was gonna say Alex and JJ, right? No. Two Alex. Two Alex.
No, I totally expect you to say two Alexes, honestly.
Fair enough.
Especially because there's two on the hand, but also just in general. Because, I'm pretty sure you would also say that outside of the house.
Probably, yeah.
I
don't know.
I probably like Big Ol' Welpier. It's the best tempo card.
It's not terrible. Crowd Roaster is fun for removal, though. Listen, Ro can do a lot with Malagos, I get it. But is it really the most versatile?
And it's not very dragon heavy, so the Crowd Roaster might not even come down as activated.
He's gonna go Malagos. He's just taking it.
I personally liked the Big Ol' Welpier. It's probably the weakest of the bunch, but it's probably the one that is best for your deck in those situations.
Play anytime, it's a good card, yeah. For sure. Okay, do we see Kronks?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
How about like Netherwing Tap or something?
Maybe. Rule of thumb for Kronk should always be play him if you want to play your Galakron the turn after right away.
Yeah, especially play him if you really need your Galakron, or if you already have your Galakron down.
Yeah, the devastations you always like to see.
Of course, Crowncooker doesn't have to think about it as much in this matchup because he already has his Galakron on hand.
Yeah.
Netherwing is a little awkward because you're not dealing with a lot, but you're dealing with the one thing that's there and you're putting something on the board, so I don't actually hate it.
Yeah, it's going to develop something.
I mean, developing a 5/5 body and clearing the board, as much as the board isn't very threatening, is
definitely not the worst. There's an Eviscerate to go with the Malagis later.
Perhaps. Yes, but also you'd have to play Malagos, stick it for a turn. Yeah. I don't agree with the Malagos necessarily, especially against a deck that has like Plague of Flames.
You just don't understand the man's swag, man. You just don't. You haven't lived the Crowncooker lifestyle. Is the problem, JJ. If you did, you knew.
You haven't seen a single Plague of Flames yet, which are just straight up destroy effects.
Now, what I don't agree with is not picking Togwaggle's scheme to go with the man himself.
You haven't
instead going Betrayal.
You haven't seen the Twisting Nethers yet. You know that there's enough removal that can take out the Malagos, which isn't damage based, which is what Malagos of course survives.
If Crowncooker makes it to an interview, if he wins his championship, then we'll ask him about this exact play.
Yeah, because we'll probably remember by then.
Remind me, yeah. I'll try to. It's still far in the future, but if we ever get to talk to him, we'll ask him about that exact, so he can tell you about the Crown lifestyle. Also,
there's a good chance that by then he won't know why he did it.
Good point. We'll show him a clip. I don't know. Don't underestimate these players. They remember. You can ask a chess player, like a really good chess player, about a game that happened 30 years ago. They'll know exactly. Like, they'll know the exact position, everything. And top level Hearthstone players are sort of like that. I'll take Dark Skies. Clear this up and...
that was a huge high roll, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Normally, the more reasonable play would have been to just hit first and then do it. Of course, the way this turned out, don't get me wrong, that was great, but that was... But otherwise, like, their shield was the most likely to survive.
Yeah. But also, if the shield survived, it was most likely that both your shield and the Netherwing survived. So then you could still take the trade. And this way, he at least leaves the door open for the high roll. I like it. And you have to come back into the game. You're down if you TSV, so you have to take some risks. Play Sinister Strike plus Galakron.
Fully evolved Galakron and Owl.
Big
Kronks on hand.
Kronks on hand, drawing cards. Free prep.
I was about to say prep, now costs 0. Hey, would you look at that? That looks like a more promising dragon there. That's a free Malagos.
It's a free Malagoose. Look at this.
Oh, right. I guess that's
a win.
That was the intended use for the Malagos, I guess, is like...
Wow.
Because you have prep and you have potentially free Evis.
Yeah. Wow, look at this from Crowncooker. I mean, that was some big time finishers there.
I still don't agree with picking the Malagos.
Uses the Malagoose.
Okay, I get it, right? You play Galakron, and then on 9 you play Malagos and all of your free Evises, but still...
I like it. He played it perfectly, did Crowncooker.
Okay, so I guess the reason, by the way, was in case he doesn't draw Malagos with Galakron,
Yeah.
He could do all the free Galakrond cards with Malygos, but I still don't like it that much.
Absolutely. So congratulations, 3-1 win for Crowncooker. You're moving on to the semifinals of the America's Conference Championship, or bracket rather. We'll be looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you again for Pimcarp for recording this whole thing. Thank you for helping out whenever we can during ungodly American hours, which happens sometimes. We be catching the Z's at 4 in the morning for us. We can't record sometimes, so Pimcarp helps out, which is a great thing. TSV, thank you very much for competing. Great first match, and this one kind of just out schemed, I want to say. Kind of bad matchup with a lot of these decks, and the Warlock just couldn't overcome this entire lineup, which is a bit of a weak point, but that happens. So Crowncooker again establishing himself, saying, I'm the favorite to take this whole thing, and he's moving on quite cleanly after being down 1. He's moving on. And he's got to be feeling confident about the steps going further. But for now, thank you for watching this. Drop a like on it to support these great competitors. And if you want to see more about this and get the behind-the-scenes look at it, join our Discord server. Pro tip, link to that is in the description. All the organization goes down. All the players of this tournament are in there, so you can talk to them. You can talk to us, get some insight, get better at the game naturally by looking at some elite games. And you'll be notified whenever another game of this tournament is going live, because YouTube sometimes isn't the best at notifying you about videos, even though you're subscribed to the channel. So, hopefully we'll see you there soon, and until the next one, JJ.
That's it.
That's it.